Let us begin the day. Good morning, everyone. Let us begin the day with giving charity. All of the Jews will be redeemed by giving charity. And my advice to everybody also is don't pay attention to world politics. Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention. It just don't. Our hope is not in politics. That politics is in the hands of Hashem. Our hope is in ourselves. We have to work and do what God wants. We're the ones that can change it. Our hope is in Hashem, of course. Hashem is going to bring Moshiach, but it's up to us to hasten the process. And for sure, it's going to work. And that's what we're learning about now. Moses got out of Egypt. Politically, it was impossible to get out of Egypt. Politically, the Jews had absolutely no power whatsoever. There was no force in the world that could convince Paro to let the Jews go. And not only did he let them go, but that was the basis of Judaism. That began the Jewish people. The Jewish religion was begun by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That was again, and they also say they brought down the Jewish soul, if you want to call it. But the actual Jewish people to receive the Torah and to do the commandments in this world and to build a holy temple, to get the land of Israel, and from that make the whole physical world holy, that began when the Jews got out of Egypt. Anyway, okay, now this is what we're going to talk about. Here is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and that talks exactly about this subject. What exactly happened when the Jews got out of Egypt? This was a speech given by the Rebbe in 19. Let's see where is this? Here we go. 1961. 1961. Okay, the Rebbe had already been Rebbe for 10 years. And now we'll talk about this. Now, again, one more time, just to remind everybody that the purpose of creation, the goal of creation is to bring Moshiach, which Moshiach is going to be a person that's going to reveal how important this physical world is. How important this physical world is and how good, very good this world is. Physical world. Again, if Adam would have just done what he was supposed to, there wouldn't be such a thing as heaven. People wouldn't die. Adam brought death into the world. There wouldn't be such a thing as going to heaven. All this thing about going to heaven and all the religions promising going to heaven, this is only a result of something bad. This is like a consolation prize. The main the thought in God's mind, the main purpose of creating the world was this physical world, which that's this thing we can't understand. Going to heaven, you can sort of understand. It's a spiritual thing, and you get a big reward. Get it's like you get the gold watch after you retire. You get a big pension. You get your bills paid for, whatever is your doctor bills paid for. That's like going to heaven. But really, what we want is to make this physical world the place that it was supposed to be. But Adam was supposed to have perfected it, and instead, he what do you call it? Defected. Well, he left Gan Eden. He was kicked out. So we're fixing this up. That's giving the Torah. Okay, so one of the processes in fixing this whole business up and bringing the Mashiach, which the Mashiach is supposed to be somebody like Adam. It's supposed to be something like Adam. And then afterwards, Abraham fixed this up. Yitzchak, Yaakov, so came along Moses. So Mashiach is supposed to be something like Moses with the Jewish people to fix up the whole world. Okay, so God tells Moses, here we go. Let's go. Let's start. A little bit late over here. In the beginning of our Torah portion. This is wrong. In the beginning of our Torah portion, Mesupar, it's spoken, Odot, about the Davar Hashem, the word of God to Moses, as an answer al Tanato, and as an answer to Moses' complaint to God in the end of last week's Torah portion, Lama Hariota Lamazeh. God, why are you torturing the Jews? Why are they here in exile 210 years? Why are things just getting worse? So this week's Torah portion is the answer to that. Moses says, God, why are you making the Jewish people suffer? We talked about this in Likuti Torah and in Torah Or, but there's a lot of different sides to this answer. So So what did God answer Moses? Vayedaber Elokim Moshe, that God spoke to Moses and said to him, Ani Hashem, I am Hashem. The essence name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now, the different names of God, those go on the different aspects of God. So God said, I am God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Ve'era Abraham. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as in the name El Shaddai, in this aspect of God, which is called El Shaddai. We don't usually say that, but because we're learning it, Kale. Ushmi Hashem, but my essence name, Yud, and then Hey, Vav Hey, Lo Nodati Lem, I didn't make known to them. This is a quotation from the Torah. V'gam hakimoti et briti itam, and also I am fulfilling my covenant with them, what to give them the land of Israel, right? The Jews are getting out of Egypt in order to go to Israel. Ve'ezkoret briti, and I will remember my covenant. Lochen emor le'bnei Israel, this is continuing the quote from the Torah. Lochen emor le'bnei Israel, say to the Jewish people, Ani Hashem, I am God. V'otzeti etchem mitachat sivlot Mitzrayim, and I am taking you out of the suffering of Egypt. And I will save them, and and I will redeem them. I will redeem you. I will redeem you, and I will and I will take to you, to me, and you will know that I am God. Okay, So this is God's answer, right? God's answer to Moses. Moses asks God, why have the Jewish people been suffering so long? Why are things now getting worse? Since I arrived, things are only getting worse, said Moses. And God says back to Moses, I have appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob only in this name of El Shaddai, and the name Yud Kei Vav Kei I didn't let known to them. And I'm going to fulfill my promise now, and I'm going to take you out and give you the land of Israel. So the implication is, Shelo Yidag Moshe, that Moses, don't worry. Like Moses said, you haven't saved the Jewish people. You said you were going to save you. You told me, God, at the burning bush, you're going to save the Jewish people, and you haven't saved them. So God said back to Moses, don't worry. Your worries are nothing. Because now Higiyazaman has come the time. Kiyum Havtacha, I am doing the promise that I promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I promised Hashem, La'avot to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, L'ga'olet ben Israel, to redeem the Jewish people, take all the Jewish people out of Egypt. We have to understand. Why does he start off saying Be'erich Havtacha, the promise to the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that I appeared to them, Abraham, in the name El Shaddai, but not, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei I did not make known to them. Why does God even have to say this about the name? This name you didn't know yet. I'm going to give you a new name, right? I'm going to take you out of Egypt. And instead, God could just say, I'm taking you out of Egypt. What does he have to say? Under which name he's going to take us out? What do we care? But Pirish Rashi explains that what this sentence means. Now you have to remember, God wrote the Torah, right? God is writing this. This is not Moses writing this. This is God writing it. So God is saying, he's writing down these important things to us. Rashi, what's he saying? My name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, the name of essence, name of God, I didn't make known to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I only made known to them this name, which is El Shaddai. What's the importance? What's the importance? Just say you're taking us out of Egypt. Rashi explains, the intention that is saying that in the days of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God did not yet fulfill his promise. And that's what it means that my name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, I did not make known to them. Lo nikarti lehem, I did not show them b'midat amitit sheli. Unlike people, that people can change their names, it doesn't change the person at all. But God, the different names of God, that refers to different aspects of God. So God said, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they saw that I'm the creator. They saw that I care. They saw that I relate to people, that it's important to me, the whole world, but they didn't see my essence. They didn't see my true name. Because the promise had not been fulfilled. You're only going to know my true name when I take the Jews out of Egypt and bring them to the land of Israel. That's my true name. Give them the Torah and take them to the land of Israel. Now has come the time fulfilling the promise. But the main problem still is there. Lama nafkamina, why do we care over here? That's the big question. Why do we care here? Avos, in the day of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there still was not the revelation of God. God could have just said, I'm revealing my true name to you. What did he have to bring in that I didn't reveal it to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob? What do we care about that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were somehow inferior? Why throw that in? Why bring the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in at all? Just say, Moses, you have a question. Why is it bad to the Jewish people? Don't worry, I'm taking them out. I'm taking them out of Egypt and I'm revealing my true name. That's all. What does he have to throw in it? Not like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They didn't know. Why talk about it's almost like saying bad things about Jews. You're not supposed to say bad things about people. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were on a low level. Let's forget them, right? So forget them. Don't bring it up at all. Oh, it also called Divrei Torah. Okay, but the fact that God does bring Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and tells us that I didn't reveal my real name to them must be important to us. Oh, everything in the Torah is a teaching to us, an eternal teaching to every single Jew, to the end of all generations. What is the teaching to us from this knowing that my name, I did not make known to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Why is that important to us? Also, we have to. So it's not just important to us in a religious way, in a general way, in our day-to-day lives, our whole attitude toward life, toward every second of our lives. It's important to know that God did not reveal His essence name to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why? We'll see. Also, we also have to understand another thing. God says, "Va'era el Avram," I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. At first glance, it should say quickly, "Va'era el avotecha," I appeared to your forefathers, or something like that. In the past, I only appeared in this name. Why say Abraham, Isaac, Jacob? Also, when God says, "At Abraham," excuse me, Va'era, I appeared el Avram, el Yitzchak, el Yaakov. 3 times I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob. Why 3 times el? Why does it say Va'era el Avram? Or it could say, it should have just said, I appeared to your forefathers. Or you want to say Abraham, so say, I appeared to Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Why does it have to say to in front of each one? Okay, this is going to be important. We're going to see. Ala Katuv, on when it says Vayedaber Elohim, that's how this Torah portion starts. Vayedaber Elohim, God Elohim spoke to Moses. Elohim El Moshe Vayomer Alav, and he said, Ani Hashem, I am you. The first Rebbe of Chabad, Alter Rebbe, he explains. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. That there is not just that God is comforting Moses and promising him that he's going to take them out of Egypt and he's going to reveal this name, but it's also a tshuva. It's also an answer to the complaint of Moses. Why are you torturing the Jewish people? Remember, we just finished learning that in Torah Or. It's not just God is saying, listen, don't worry, Moses, I'm taking you out of Egypt. This is an answer to Moses, right? Why I had to make you suffer. This shows the Indian is the whole idea of Gulas Mitzrayim, going out of Egypt, is Hidgalu Shem Hashem. The only reason that you had to suffer so long, because that's the only way I could reveal my essence name. Like it says later on, therefore say to the Jewish people, I am God. You should know that I am God. This essence name of God. In order to merit this revelation of the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is a revelation very, very high, is there has to be first exile, a very, very difficult exile. Hariosa. I had to do it, said Moshe. That was the only, said God to Moses. The only way you could get this big revelation. If you remember, I'll say in just short what we learned in Likuti Torah, that God said, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I appeared in this name, which is called El Shaddai, which that's showing the they say the tendency of God to respond to what you do. If you love God, then God loves you. You fear God, then God sends you power. But you recognize God's power, God sends you more power. That's the name El Shaddai, makes the connection between God and the world when you serve him by love. Arouse your heart to God, God arouses his heart to you. That's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But Moses, he revealed the essence name of God, that even if you don't or you can't arouse your heart to God, you just do a commandment, then God reveals his essence to you, higher than any other name. That's what we learned in Likuti Torah. And he said, the only way you can reveal this is that God has to, first of all, remove his presence from the world for a while, and then there can be a tremendous revelation, something like a person, he crouches down to jump up high, something like that. Here God is going back up to come back down. So therefore there had to be 210 years of exile, because God, so to speak, removed himself in order to come down in a big blessing, this new the revelation of God, which is El Shaddai, and which is Yud Kei Vav Kei. And Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they also suffered, but not to this degree. So they only got the name of El Shaddai. That's what it said in the Likuti Torah. Okay. So it's an answer. It's an answer. God is answering Moses. I'm sorry about the torture. I'm sorry about that, but it was a necessary step in order to reveal the essence name of God in the world. Which essentially we don't really know what that is, because God revealed it at Mount Sinai and the Jewish people couldn't take it. And it was revealed in the Holy of Holies, and still the Jewish people weren't able to take it, the revelation. That's why God destroyed the temple. But he's not the Jewish people. He's giving us another chance. He's removing himself now for 2,000 years. It's going to be an amazing revelation. Okay, but anyway, that was the answer. Good? Okay. So now we're left with our questions. Why talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Why bring them up at all? God could have just said to Moses, I'm sorry about the trouble. I'm revealing my essence name of God. That's all. He doesn't have to say, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in this low name, but I'm appearing to you in a big name. Why talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Mosaf a Kasuv. So it ends up, the Torah continues and says, Shetam said that this reason, Lo Yagila, wasn't this reason for the exile was not revealed to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Avram appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the name El Shaddai, but the name, my essence name, I did not make known to them. Why? Himaila Nifla, because there's a tremendously high quality in this revelation of the essence of God. She'afilu ha'avos, that even Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did not merit to it. Shmi Hashem, the name, my name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, I did not make known to them. She'idgalut Hashem, that the essence, the name of the when God did reveal to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, it was only in this name which is called El Shaddai. This was because God, so to speak, contracted. He limited himself according to the way the worlds are. That's the name Shaddai. Shaddai means die, and it's sufficient to the world. Sufficient. God just gave a little bit of revelation to the world, not in the essence name of God. The name of essence of God, that's he's going to reveal this in Mount Sinai, etc. So he said, but in order to get this, you had to suffer. This is the essence name of God, Kafi, like it is above the world. The essence name of God is 4 letters, Yud, and then Hey, Vav, Hey. Hey, Vav, Hey means to be. Haya, Hey, Yud, Hey is past. Hoveh is present. That's the name of God. Present, now, to be now. And Yiyah, but it's all at one time. By us, we see that the past is gone and the future hasn't come yet. And the present is right now, but we can't put our hands really on what the present is. We can't really experience the present, even according to science, right? It takes time for the impulses to come from the world to your eyes, and then from the eyes back, it takes the speed of light or whatever, but you're not really experiencing now. You're experiencing something that was what, a 1 trillionth or something of a second ago. But that's what we call now. But in the future, there's not going to be, we'll get to the source of time. It's impossible to understand what this is, and everything will be one. How is this going to be? It says that's the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. God did not reveal it. Look, and therefore, there has to be, in order to this, a big, huge preparation of going into exile in order to reveal this essence name of God, of reality. That's also another thing. When Adam ate from the tree, as he brought into the world time, before he ate from the tree, there was only now. There was now. And the past was eternal. What it did in the past stays all the time. It stays now, but we don't see it. And the future was contained in the now. It was contained right now. He didn't worry about the future. After he ate from the tree, then he started to worry. He started to. So when we don't appreciate what is really now. Now is God's name, so to speak. Yud means constantly, and Hey Vav Hey is now. But in order to appreciate this, to get to this, what the source of reality is, the Jews had to suffer. Well, according to this, so it comes out that which God spoke to Moses. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This explains the Yesod, the foundation, and the whole point of the whole idea of the redemption from Egypt. Why the Jews had to go through this weird experience of being slaves for 210 years and then getting out in order to make the Jewish religion. Why? Shalozu bilavad, not only that, shemahuta shel geula, that this whole idea of going out of Egypt, it's not just a physical, political, now you used to be slaves, now you're going to be free people. We made a revolution against Paro, right, down with the evil despot Paro, and now you're free. It's not just that. The main thing is Gula Ruchnis, it's a spiritual redemption. Mimatzav shel shibud the Mitzrayim, the matzav shel cherus. In Egypt, you were thinking about yourselves all day. I got to get enough straw. I have to make enough bricks. I hope I don't get beaten. I hope I go home alive. It's like you're just thinking I all the time. And now you're going to go out of Egypt. You're going to be able to think about God, your creator. Like it says, I'm taking the Jewish people out of Egypt. You're going to serve God on this mountain. God spoke to Moses on burning bush. The burning bush happened to be on Mount Sinai. That was before Moses even went to take the Jews out. About a year, something like a year and a half before Moses went to take the Jews out of Egypt. Before he went down, he saw the burning bush on Mount Sinai, and God said, on this mountain, you're going to serve me. The Jewish people are going to learn how to be my servants. The whole idea of going out of Egypt is serving God, but when you receive the Torah and the commandments. But even more, the whole purpose is knowing God. The big thing is you're going to be able to know God spiritually. That's a whole different world. Alpis, according to this movement, we can understand even more deeply Hatam, the reason that the Torah takes so long and tells us about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I appeared to Abraham and to Isaac and to, in this name, El Shaddai, and the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, I did not make known to them. Why? In this, it's stressing, Shabali a bit, that notwithstanding the tremendous service of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I mean, just earth-shaking. They stood against the whole world. Like the rabbis say, the Avos Ein Merkavah says that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they were a vessel for godliness. Adayan Ein Zem Matzav Shel Geula. It's not redemption. Yetzias Mitzrayim Kashura Bakach. Going out of Egypt is connected to knowing that I am God. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei. That Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't know that. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they served God. True, they did serve God. And God spoke to them, but it wasn't the essence name of God. With that essence name of God, they could go out of Egypt. With the godliness that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob merited to, it wasn't sufficient. It wasn't sufficient to go out of Egypt. Therefore, the Jews had to suffer in order to get this. Mitam Zeh, for this reason, the Torah says each and every one of the forefathers on his own. Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob. It doesn't just say in a general way. God said to Moses, I appeared to the forefathers, or to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Said to Abraham, to Isaac. Why? Because each one, there's it has to mention each one of them, and it makes a separation of the word El, to Abraham, to Isaac. Why? Because to stress the fact that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were great, they were important, they were essential, they were amazing, they were miraculous, but it wasn't sufficient. The work that they did was nothing like it. They founded the Jewish people, the whole world opposed them, and they nevertheless tried to benefit the whole entire world. And that's what but nevertheless, they didn't reach this level that I'm about to give you now. In merit of the suffering of all the Jews. Kolomar, in other words, that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they are the fathers of the Jewish people. This does not show on the special quality which is in each one of them. If we would just say, God would just say, I appeared to the forefathers, that's good. That shows that they were great, but each one of them had a special excellence that was not found. Each one of them is al hishtavut b'neim. If we would just say, God would just say, I appeared to the forefathers, then it would just say that they served me, right? They would. But now that God says, I appeared to Abraham, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, each one separately, and between each one is the word to, El, it shows that each one of them contributed something so amazing and essential to the world and to Judaism that it's irreplaceable. But notwithstanding their greatness and their excellence, it wasn't enough. Says God to Moses, now, because the Jews suffer in Egypt, they're going to get a revelation of the truth of godliness even higher than Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And even more, the fact that they are the fathers of the Jewish people, this is a thing which came from above, that God merited them, that by means of their service, that they would be the fathers of the Jewish people. But they made the choice themselves how to serve God. They choose. It wasn't predetermined how they were going to serve God. It was a tremendous self-sacrifice. But that which we enumerated, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, each one separately, this shows the separate excellence and unique quality and contribution of each and every one of them. Like it says, the main service of Abraham was in kindness. The main service of Yitzchak, it says, was in prayer. The main service in changing the world. Yaakov was, it says, learning Torah. But nevertheless, since that there wasn't revelation of the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei by them, as the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei I did not make known to them, as this is not really true Geula. This is not true redemption. Okay, explanation. What is the idea of going out of Egypt? Egypt is from the language expression of Mitzrayim, means Meitzar. Don't think that Egypt nowadays is an evil place. That's it. Egypt, that's a source of all. It's not so. It's not so. Egypt is another country in the world. As soon as the Jews left the country, then it lost all of its, evil. They took out all of the power from the good from Egypt, and without the good, the evil couldn't exist. So it wasn't, but Egypt still exists. What does it mean, Egypt? Spiritual Egypt. Spiritual Egypt is limitation and boundaries, false limitations and false boundaries. Tochen Zeh, we've spoken about a lot about this. Tochen Zeh, this whole idea of Egypt, Yeshnu is also in holiness. What does it mean? Even since that a person is a creation. We're created and we are limited. So even when you do serve God with all of your abilities, nevertheless, you have not gone out of your nature that God gave you. Even though that you are you're a holy person, you serve God all the time, you're only doing good deeds and saying good things and thinking good things, and you learn Torah and you do the commandments, but people are limited. Even if you can get to the level of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is incredible, nevertheless, it was still, they did it from their own power. The whole idea of going out of Egypt, going out of all limits, even limitations of holiness, this is going out from any sort of boundaries whatsoever, even the boundaries of holiness. That a person will be totally surrendered, that he won't feel himself at all. He doesn't take up any place by himself whatsoever. You can say, oh, that's a terrible thing. That's not good. If you just think about it, that's a really wonderful thing. That's when a person is really a person, right? When is a musician truly a musician? When he only thinks about the music. Only thinks about the music. Excuse me. When is a politician, a good politician, when he only thinks about the people? He doesn't think about himself at all. If they catch him that he thinks, right, the president took a vacation. Why did he take a vacation? He just took a vacation to rest so that he'll be able to serve us better, right? But everything is just devoted. A teacher is a good teacher when he only thinks about the pupils. He doesn't think about himself. Turns off his cellular phone, doesn't think about himself whatsoever. That's the secret of life. The heart works properly when you don't feel it. The lungs work properly when you don't feel them, right? That's the ideal situation of the ideal state of man. That's why it's such a good thing for people to have jobs, to work. That was to be to contribute something, that you're an important element in the world. You contribute something. That's why the Lubavitcher Rebbe was very against retirement, unless you're working on a job that you hate, you don't like it. But retirement is not a good thing because you feel there's no reason to wake up in the morning. There's no function. You're thinking about yourself all the time. It says ideally, when really God reveals himself, then we'll really feel only the creator. Like the musician only feels the music. The person in sports only feels his team. He doesn't think about himself. And the doctor only feels health. That's all he thinks about. That's called bittul. A person can't bring about this on his own, because it says a prisoner cannot release himself. He's galus only when God reveals himself. And in this gufa gilui shem havaya, the revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei. I know that's atzmos shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the essence of God, the way it is above any limitations of the world. So again, after people die, so they go to heaven. So you're free at last. I'm free at last, right? I'm free from the world, free from the pain of the world, free from the pain of the world. And it's to a degree that's true, but you're not free from your egotism. A person goes to heaven and he feels, wow, I get pleasure. This is reward for all that I did, what I did. If Adam would not have sinned, there wouldn't be any heaven. Means that people just wouldn't feel themselves. They would feel useful, purposeful. They would feel that every movement that they make is improving the world, making the world more godly. It's hard for us to understand what this means, because God is not really part of our, day-to-day nomenclature. What does God think today? What does God want today? What does God? You listen to them in the news. What does the United Nations say today? What is this person? But the fact of the matter is, our connection to God is infinitely more important, and it's practical, which listening to the news and it's not practical at all. What do we care what somebody some lawmaker says over here and the lawmaker says over there? But when sitting and learning Torah has a tremendous effect on the world, but it deals with God, and God is not. We've been bombarded with stimuli telling us that the only thing important is the world. That's limitations. Says the Rebbe, even if you devote yourself totally to learning Torah, doing the commandments, etc., but nevertheless, you're a human being. You're limited. And we're talking about a revelation from God that'll give us the same revelation, that'll be like Adam, even more. We'll have the ability not to think about ourselves, to be experts, to be heroes, to be saviors of the world. Because of this tremendous revelation of godliness that we're waiting for, a person will be total surrendered. He'll surrender his whole being. V'zeh magbia oto. This elevates him above any sort of limitations of the world, even limitations of holiness. I think I told you this story before, but I'll tell it to you again. I read this in a book once that Beethoven once wrote some piece of work, and of course he was tremendously considered when he was alive. He was considered, and there was a part there for the violin, which a violin cannot play. It's just too fast or too high or whatever it is, too much of stretches, something like that. So the violinist came to Beethoven and said, Herr Beethoven, you wrote this thing in this thing, and it's impossible. A violin can't play it. And Beethoven said, when I'm writing music, I'm talking to God. What do I care about your stupid violin? In other words, he's above any limitations. I haven't got any limitations. This is what the violin can play. No violin can play it. That's your problem. That's not, this is what the music. In other words, you're attached to something that's true as you go out of your limitations, which is not the case by Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, that the name of God, Lo Nodati, I did not make known to them. There wasn't the idea of going out of Egypt, going out of all of your limitations, even the limitations of holiness. And this is the teaching which is to each and every Jew now, even in the time of exile. It's known that each and every Jew, and especially individually, is able to reach the level of the geula, of the future redemption. Is spiritual, even before the revelation, the redemption of all the Jews. Sha'az then will be a total redemption even from physical world. We can reach it now. That's the Rebbe is saying. It's 1961, the Rebbe said. And in this, it's possible that a person can ask a question. And and it'll be a big question to him. If I am now in exile. A person can say, well, I mean, if this situation of redemption is available to me, so am I there or am I not? A person might think that if I already have defeated my evil impulses, I don't get angry at anyone anymore, and I'm always nice, and I'm learning Torah whenever I can, and I'm giving charity, and I'm doing the commandments. So if so, I am totally devoted to learning Torah and doing the commandments, and also even in the mundane things, right? Everything I do is for the sake of God. So therefore, maybe I'm already redeemed. That's what it comes to tell you. That says, Ve'erel Avram. God said, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and my name, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, I did not make known to them. It's possible that you serve God. And it could be that you're serving God that you're the level of a chariot. You're a big tzaddik, a real tzaddik. And even more, that you're serving God with each one individually of the three, like the three gifts that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob gave to us: Torah, which is Yaakov; Avoda, prayer, which is Yitzchak; and Gemilut Chasadim, and kindness, that you are learning Torah in every free moment. You're serving God when you pray; it's real prayer, and you're giving charity, and each one of them is complete by you, complete. So you can think, that's it. I've reached completeness. Nevertheless, calls him on all the time that is not shining by you. The name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is above nature. As long as you feel yourself in any way, so you should know you haven't gone out of Egypt. And you're not in a situation of redemption. This was an idea that brought the first Rebbe of Chabad a lot of trouble. Because the first Rebbe of Chabad that we're celebrating today is the day he passed away, Chavtal Tevis, is in tune with the message of the Baal Shem Tov, that everyone always has to do tshuva. The enemies of the first Rebbe of Chabad and of the Baal Shem Tov also were very holy Jews. They were Jews that learned Torah day and night, and they were devoted to learning Torah and doing the commandments, and to an amazing degree. And when the Rebbe came along and told them that, listen, you're still in Egypt, you have to go out. Just like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, no, don't feel bad. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they also were this tremendous high level, and God told Moses that wasn't sufficient. So also you're not sufficient. And they said, To the first Rebbe of Chabad, who are you to tell us that we're learning Torah, we're doing the commandments? Look at all the other Jews. They're doing sins, they're doing these terrible things. We're better than everybody else. And you're coming and telling us that we're not sufficient? That's not right. The Rebbe said, I'm telling you even something more. All those Jews that don't do commandments, they're just as holy as you are. A Jew is holy by birth. As far as serving God and revealing this holiness, right, you have a long way to go. You have a long way to go. And that's one of the reasons why they hated him. They even gave him over to the government. They slandered him and had him imprisoned. He got up that Kislev. So there the Rebbe is saying, you're serving God. Wonderful. You have to serve God. You have to stop doing sins. You have to eat kosher food. You have to keep Shabbat. You have to learn Torah, right? You have to put on tefillin. A Jewish woman has to do the commandments also that are especially for Jewish women as well. But when you do it, don't think that you've reached perfection. Don't think, oh, but Ma Yodeh, how can you know if you really have reached this level of God or not? And now there comes the answer of Rashi says, B'shmi Hashem lo nodati lehem. I did not make known my name in a true way. That I'm called Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. That the lack of this revelation of the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei was by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob also. Shaloni karti lehem. I did not make known my truly who I am. The essence of truth, it was lacking. And the essence, what is the essence of truth? Is when you do not change. Like it says in the Yerushalmi, that the seal of God is truth. That in the three letters, Aleph, Mem, Taf, the three letters, Aleph, Mem, Taf, that shows, and the first of them is, Aleph is the first, Mem is the middle of the alphabet, and Taf is the last of the letters. Like it says by God, I am first, I am last, and without me, there's no God. What does it mean? That the whole idea of truth is that it's found everywhere, from the beginning, in the middle, and the end, equally, without any change. And when that what it says, I am God, I never change. Like it says, I am God, I never change. And that's the difference between the name Elokim, Ein Elokim, She'ein Shum Helem Ve'Ester. Says there is, when it says that there's no Elokim, it means that there's no concealment from the world. So in other words, you're in the world, but you're always, every second is brand new. Every second is right now. The Zuya Bechina, this is the test if a person has reached to the level of going out of Egypt or not. If you've really gone out of all of your limitations, if your service is above change. What does it mean above change? In other words, Shalom Meshaneh, it doesn't make any difference to you what you're doing or what you're occupied. If you're learning Torah, if you're praying, if you're doing commandments, or even if you're in your business, you're doing mundane things and you're doing it for the sake of God. And everything that you do, your service is the same exact surrender, if you want to call it gratitude to God. Thank you that I'm being created right now. Thank you for creating. Let me just serve you. Let me just repay you. Some way, the fact that you're creating me now, that should be what's permeating every single lesson. But the name Jew, Yehudi, is based on the word hoda'ah, thanks. The power for this is what? Because it's shame. God has to shine on you this true aspect of his. Ani Rishon, I am first, I am last. Except for me, there's no God. That this brings about a person a surrender, like this, a devotion. She'enu nitfas, that is not found in any details whatsoever. Everything shines equally, whether you're doing a commandment, whether you're talking to someone on the street. Everything is, you feel, is a gift from God, and it's part of your service to God. You're repaying God for the fact that you're here in the world, and every second brand new. Similarly, it's also the Baal Shem Tov said, Shiviti Hashem negdi tami. A lot of synagogues you see written on the place where they pray, I have put God in front of me always. Shiviti means I have placed God. Shiviti. But the word Shiviti also means to be equal. Shiviti Hashem negdi tamid. Excuse me. I have put God in front of me always. Shiviti is also the expression of hishtavut, equality, equanimity. It says what? Hakol, everything is equal by him. He is serving God with all of his abilities in every way. Once I remember I went and I visited someone, a friend of mine that he wasn't feeling good. He was in the hospital. And he said, I'm just on shlichus. I'm just an emissary of the Rebbe. Wherever I am, that's where I've been sent. If I've been sent here in the hospital, my job is to serve God here, not to sit and to complain and to feel miserable. To be as positive as possible, to be positive to the doctors, to positive to the nurses. This comes by means of Hashem. That Hashem, Yudke Vovke, the essence of God, that's what in front of me always. Shekasher Shem Hashem, when the name of Yudke Vovke is revealed by a person in a way that it's revealed, that this causes him that everything, every moment is equal. Okay, the way you react is different, but the way you react in a way is always the same. What does the Torah want? What is the Torah? Sometimes the Torah wants that you should be strict. Sometimes the Torah wants you should be loose. Sometimes the Torah wants that you should conquer. Sometimes that you should surrender. Okay, for that you have rabbis to ask, you have friends to ask, you have teachers to ask. But every situation that you're in is the same thing. I am just a servant of God. I'm the servant of the Creator. God is creating me every moment. I'm here to improve the world. Sheshem, just like it is relevant to the going out of Egypt, also is relevant to the future redemption. That's what we're waiting for, Moshiach. Shetoch, and that the whole main point, the theme of the future redemption is not just physical redemption, that the non-Jews won't make any troubles for us, and also not even a spiritual, that now I'm free to learn Torah, and I haven't got any bad character traits anymore. I don't get angry. I think about God. I don't get depressed. I think about God. I don't run after my desires. I think about God. But it means a revelation of the name of God. What does it mean? That you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about your responsibility to the world. Also, this is the end. This is what Maimonides says in the end of his book when he says, "What's going to be when Mashiach comes?" He says, "In those times, the world won't be interested in anything except knowing a God alone. Therefore, the Jewish people will be wise people. They'll be very, very wise, and they'll know concealed things." This is Maimonides. This is a law book. The Yasigam Das, and they will grasp the mind of God according to the ability of man. Like it says, Mole ha'oretz deas Hashem. It's a sentence from Isaiah. Like it says, the world will be filled, the physical world will be filled with an awareness of God like water fills the ocean. In the beginning of the Rambam's book, Maimonides' book, when he talks about the knowing God, he doesn't mention this thing about the name of God, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. It says you have to know that there is a first existence. That's what Rambam says. In the beginning of the Yad HaChazak, the Rambam wrote a 14-volume book with all the laws of Judaism. And in the beginning, he talks about what is God? Who are we working for? So he said you have to know that there's a first existence. A first existence. And from him, all existence comes constantly. And if you say that God doesn't exist or he removes himself, then the world wouldn't exist. God exists. So he doesn't call God by his name. But here, at the end of his book, he talks about to know Yud Kei Vav Kei, to know the essence of God. And also he brings the world will be filled with the knowing God. Knowing, it brought in the Tanya, like it says, that man knew his wife and they had children. Knowing means a visceral connection to something. Right? When you know, you feel it's connected, an intimate connection to something. You know for sure the thing is real. That's called dat. That, like, I know I exist. How do you know you exist? I feel myself, even if all the people in the world try to convince me that it's just an illusion, that's ridiculous. I feel myself. Here I am. Well, that's how it's going to be feeling God. Everyone is going to feel the Creator, knowing. Because then the people will know and feel this essence name of God. And in this itself, is the highest possible level of godliness that there can be. Like in the language of the Kabbalah, Kabbalah says Havaya de La'ela. It says the upper name of God. There's different levels of God. The Ha'pu'ula Tachlis, the Ha'poelis, which brings about the ultimate surrender to God totally. Okay, now again, this thing about surrender, maybe I just throw an extra word in here. If it's really true, and it is true, that we're being created by God from nothing. God creates the world constantly from nothing. There is no primal ether or primal force. And if there is, it's being created by God. Right? It's being by God. The world, me and you, everything we see around us is being created right now from nothing. We have absolutely no way of comprehending what this is. But it's the fact. So in essence, what does it mean? That we're really nothing. We're really nothing. It's just because of the grace of God, because of the kindness of God, because of the miracle of God, that he's bringing us into existence. And all the trees and all the flowers and all the galaxies and all of this. But me and you were. So the fact is that everything really is surrendered to God. That's the fact. And God makes man, that man should be dynamic. That's the idea. When we don't feel God, we stop being dynamic. We start being destructive. When you feel God, you feel responsibility. God created us that we should be responsible to him, that we would improve the world. That God has a plan. As I said so many times, Hasidut Chabad comes to teach us that this physical world is infinitely important to God. Every detail is infinitely important to God. We have no way of understanding that. When Moshiach comes, we'll see how important every moment is, and we'll stop thinking about ourselves. Well, every moment will be filled with gratitude to God and also serving God, doing what God created us for, to be dynamic and to fix the world. And that's what it means. The Maimonides says that the world will be filled like water fills the ocean. Shekile, that the revelation of this name of God, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, that was revealed when the Jews left Egypt, will bring about Shalot Tera Mitzius Oretz Kalal. The world won't have any negative effect on us at all. The world is only here in order to do what God wants to in it. The world will be totally surrendered in its revelation to God. Maybe we can say it's something like your eyeball, right? Your eyes, you have eyes, right? Do you see your eyes? No. If something is wrong with your eyes, this is an example that Viktor Frankl brings up. Viktor Frankl, amazingly, he hit on all these ideas without putting God into the picture. He's just talking about what makes a person healthy is when he gives himself over to some big responsibility. Here the Rebbe is talking about the ultimate responsibility, the ultimate level of health. So he brings the example, your eye, you don't see your eye. If a person has, a cataract or glaucoma or something like that, then you start to see your eye. You start to see what's going on. If it doesn't function, but when it does function, you don't see it. The same thing is the world. When the world and when we are functioning properly, then we won't feel ourselves. That's true, real existence. Then will be better lagamri. Then the world will be totally in harmony with the essence revelation of God until the world will be covered up. That's what it means. The world will be covered up with the knowledge of God, like the ocean covers the sea. When you look at the sea, the ocean, you don't see that inside of the ocean there's these massive squids and whales and stingrays and all sorts of weird things going around in there, and they're dangerous, and some of them are nice, and the porpoises, and that you don't see anything. It's just covered up with water. Well, that's the way the world is going to be with godliness. Not that we won't see anything, but we won't see that anything is separate from the Creator. The world will be filled with the knowledge of God like water fills the ocean. And this is what we're looking forward to, true health. A person who's sick, he feels, oh, my hand, oh, my eye, oh, my this. A person is healthy, say, how is your hand? What? Something wrong with my, how's your eye? Something wrong with my eye? When you're healthy, you don't feel those things. The same thing, we won't feel ourselves. We won't feel the world. The world will be healthy. It'll be dynamic, constantly changing. And it's hard to imagine what the situation will be. But Chassidut gives us a little bit of a glimpse into what the goal of reality is, the world that Adam lived in before he ate from the tree. Have a good day with Moshiach. Oh, now let's do the Yom Yom. Very good.